All right, here we are. It's a WaterBearBrigade again with Unvarnished as a special guest, and today we are discussing this really stupid feminist, and she keeps claiming that she's to support men and women and blah blah blah, but all of her rhetoric is men are bad and women are good. She's like, I care about both sexes, blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's why you keep throwing men under the bus as being horrible, evil creatures. Sure, all right. So anyway, her big thing was that financial abuse, not giving somebody money, is abuse now. This is really pathetic, and I'm going to do this screen sharing so you can see all of her fucking comments. Now, normally, this is where I say, don't go in and harass this person, but I'm relatively sure this person is a fucking troll. And I generally don't have a problem with people trolling trolls. I generally see it as
you could say,
fun.
offer your valid opinions and arguments, don't harass them. There you go. That's what you can say.
I'm tempted not even to say that. All right, I'm like, because anything you do at this point, right? If you overflow her with information and shit, she's gonna assume that they're all gonna call it harassment, no matter. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ! If not giving someone money is abuse, then any comment they leave is still gonna be harassment. So at this point, is there anything you? I mean, definitionally speaking, my hands are tied anyway. You know what I mean? So if one person leaves a comment, you know, if we're looking at a scale here, that's going to be harassment. So I don't know at this point. So anyway, the disclaimer is do whatever you want to do. I'm not responsible for your actions. You may not want to have a conversation with this person. I'll recommend that. Don't tweet this person because you don't need to lose any more intelligence than you already have, and that'll probably do it when you have a conversation with this dumbass bitch. Now we're going to make fun of this bitch for being a dumbass bitch. So here we go. I'm going to screen share, and you're going to see her actual fucking comments. I'm not taking shit out of context. I'm not doing any of that. I am going to show flat out our comments. Oh, look, it's infinity. Okay. So my argument to her was there is no such thing as financial abuse. Now, can you see this all right?
That is pretty small.
That's small.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
Never heard that before.
I doubt it.
Bitch, please. I got a half a stack once, almost got cut in half by a 747. Last time I had an erection, I nearly pushed the moon out of orbit. NASA's still trying to figure that one out. Yeah. And said he thought they got a communication from another life form when I exploded.
Were you the wow signal?
Oh, I was even more impressive than that. But yeah, okay. So let's see. Let me see what this screen looks like. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. It's giving me a Google Hangouts sharing thing, and then it's okay. So it stopped sharing, man. That's not helpful. All right, these are what we call technical difficulties. All right, so I guess you're gonna have to click Control Plus on the screen, like pause it and then hit Control Plus or something. or enlarge your window. It might be small from unvarnished view because we're inside the window rather than looking at a YouTube comment or YouTube video. So Audrey warns me that feminist Bodhi is so full of shit she ran out of toilet paper. Going back to when she goes,
Oh, look!
what?
The egalitarian. He's there. Hi!
Yes, yes, egalitarian alliance was originally in this conversation. So she goes, female on female rape is not considered a crime. Neither is female on male rape, all thanks to feminism. And her response is, no, not at all thanks to feminism. Yes, thanks to feminism, because it was a feminist movement to specifically state that rape is when a woman is, or when someone is penetrated, right? So they had the definition of rape redefined as penetration, which only sees male on male rape as rape and not female on male. Because if a woman forces a guy to have sex against his will, that's not rape unless he penetrates him. She is forcing him to penetrate her, which is not within the definition of rape that feminists pushed for. So yeah, she's full of shit right then and there. She goes, because the case are not often seen, most women choose not to testify. That's bullshit. The cases aren't respected. Some feminists say it's not possible for a female to rape. I've seen feminists argue that as well. She quotes, some feminists, I don't support that. I'm against it when a woman commits a crime the same as a man should be charged too. Well, fine, but that's not what the feminist movement does. It only says women are victimized and men are all perps. So she says, stop untagging. All feminists does is plead special circumstances for women, a wife, a mother, killer, hashtag shrug, which is true. Well, it's not special circumstances. It's special pleading, right? That it's only rape when a woman does, or when it only happens to a woman. She goes, no, I help women in different countries who are raped. How do you help those women? You sending them money or some shit? She was raped, murdered, domestic abuse, financial abuse, sold, sex slaved, and then that's when I chimed in. I said, I love that one. Financial abuse. Are you fucking kidding me? She goes, I just let me see if I got this right. If a woman withheld sex from a husband, it's perfectly within her rights. Let's see, hold on. Son of a motherless goat. That's annoying. Now I gotta always come down here. Yeah, you can go up on my Twitter feed and see all this shit. You know, I'm not hiding anything. Oh, I'm gonna let her know I made this video too. So she said shit that was
there's a woman involved in it. What? Blow her mind. By the way, I'm sorry if you hear me sniffing. I've had like a little cold.
You caught a cold. What'd you catch it with? Net?
My boyfriend brought a cold home. He's oppressing me with germs.
Oh. Germ rape.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Yes, we're going to get her to her definition of rape in a minute. And I'm going to show you what she thinks is a legitimate source. It's fucking hilarious. She has no idea how to cite legitimate sources. Okay, so getting back to it now. All right, so let's hopefully. All right. All right. I said, okay, let me see if I got this right. If a woman withheld sex from her husband, it's perfectly within her rights. Um, crap. See, this just doesn't give. That's what I don't like about the. Okay. Um, in that case, okay, shit. See, this is not showing the conversation in a row like I like it would. So I'm going to actually stop this here, and then I'm going to go. I'm just going to go to my tweets and replies and go down a few days, because that'll show my responses a lot faster. All right, because otherwise it's chopped up between whenever she replied to something. And I apologize for those of you who are trying to watch this. It's a bit distracting. Okay, here we go.
Hey, there's me.
Yep, there's you. Yay! All right. Okay, so I said, just let me see if I got this right. If a woman withheld sex from her husband, it's perfectly within her rights because being married isn't any kind of consent to sex. But if the man withholds money, it's abuse? Bullshit. That was my response, and her response was, yes, a woman can stop having sex with her husband whenever she chooses. It's her body. My response was, and it's his money. She isn't entitled to it. She goes, which makes her trapped. Well, you know what? Withholding sex makes a man trapped. She goes, are you pro-rape? If a woman doesn't want to have sex with her husband, she doesn't have to. I said, no, I'm not. I said, hold on. I said, I'm not pro-rape. Are you pro-murder? I mean, where do you get that I'm pro-rape? When did I say rape was okay? When have I ever said rape was okay?
She jumped. She was grasping at straws and trying to create some straw man out of you. That's what it was right here. But, like, I think she's talking about, like, different things. If, let's say I'm like, oh, I don't feel like having sex today. Whereas withholding sex for months and months, like, and years or whatever.
I mentioned that too, right? Because it's one thing when someone is not okay. Because even if you're not in the mood, you can still perform or be part of a sex act, right? Right? For your partner. You know, that's true. It doesn't always have to be about you.
There's been times where I'm like, oh man, I don't really feel like, you know, having intercourse or whatever. How about I give you a hand job or a blow job or something? Instead, since I don't feel like having intercourse, but you're in the mood, so why don't we go ahead and do something for you? Since you're in the mood. I've done that. But then I've also just, like, not been in the mood at all and be like, nah, not today. I'm not really in the mood at all. Right now I'm sick, so he hasn't gotten any because I'm sick and stuffy.
This just in. Unvarnished gives blowjobs.
Oh, yeah. Of course. So, you know, there's that, but, like, there's been times where he hasn't been in the mood. Okay? And he's like, no, I'm not in the mood. So, you know, both partners could not be in the mood. But well, that's, like, completely different than, like, going months though. Or even years.
Okay, there is a difference here, though. Right? Because if he's not in the mood, right, there's not really a whole lot that can be done.
He could go down on a girl. That's something he could do. But I personally don't like that. So if he's not in the mood, I don't want anything. I'm like, okay. But if you're into that, and that's something that he can do.
Hold on. Well, he can't. There's not really a whole lot he can do if he's not in the mood, unless. Like he takes something like Viagra, which is not supposed to be used recreationally, but people do it anyway.
I wouldn't.
So either he has to be forced to have one, right? Or nothing's happening, right? Now, when you're not in the mood, your parts still function anyway. You know what I mean? Because he has to get erect in order for sex in order to happen. You just have to lie there. I mean, it's not like, I'm not saying that's great, right, or anything, or that's good sex, but it's still sex. And it's like, all you have to do is lie there. You could be dead, and someone can have sex with your corpse, and like, you know,
Ew, this
the
got more.
receptacle portion of that, right? Because that's what women are, the receptacle of the male sexual organ, right? So,
Well, even if the girl's not in the mood, there can sometimes not be a lot. Now, some girls can still like get wet or whatever, but sometimes you could just remain in that and having sex when you're not turned on.
well,
Could
there's
be a
also
problem.
if you're well, okay, well if you're dry, right? If that's the
Yeah.
case, there's still lubricants you can get. So you just
Too.
or he can he can try to work in some serious foreplay.
But most people don't put a problem on relationships at all if somebody's just not in the mood for even a couple of days or something.
Well, hold
You
on.
know?
But even if she's not in the mood, a lot of the times she can still have sex and still be naturally lubricated. So
that's not a problem, and that's not what withholding sex means.
right.
It doesn't mean not being in the mood.
Yeah,
It means intentionally withholding it out of spite, or maybe just you just
To
married the
punish
guy
him.
for money.
To punish and manipulate him. That's
Yeah,
what
or
withholding
maybe you
sex
just
is
married
for.
the guy for money and you're not actually attracted to him, so you're not having sex with him.
Right. In which
And-
case, I'd fucking get out of that marriage real fucking quick. I'd get it in a no.
Yeah, probably.
So
But,
yeah.
you know,
So
there
hold
could
on.
be-
There's a lot of women. There's a lot of women and some men who do this. Right. They withhold sex to punish and manipulate their partner, and that is abuse. And
I would say so.
And I can make an argument for that, but I didn't say that initially in here. I just said I could make a better argument. And she said, "Well, you said withholding sex is abuse." So here's the thing, and she keeps coming up with this women are trapped, and they can't leave, right? Because they're
How
trapped.
can they not
blah, blah,
leave
blah.
with all the resources?
Hold on, hold on.
Leave.
Hold on, I'm gonna address that in a minute.
Okay, you go. I got mad. I went off.
So here's the thing, right?
Okay.
In most relationships, even today, right, we've all seen that 77 cents to the dollar a man makes, right? That wage gap crap. So most men still bring in the majority of the money into the household, right? They still bring in the majority of the house. And when they get a divorce, she gets half of his shit, right? She may take the house and the car and half of his money plus get alimony, depending on how long they were married, right? Look at the divorce with that guy who was on News Radio and Dan versus the World, right? Or like just Dan versus. I can't think of his name at the moment, right? Kind of real nerdy guy.
I don't think I've heard that one.
You've never heard of Dan versus? Hold on.
No, I don't think. I know. I've heard of that, but I don't think I've heard of anything happening with his. I don't really.
The judge said he can't make any less because he's an actor. He's not allowed to make any less money. Dave Foley. Yeah, Dave Foley. Yeah, the judge said that
What do you mean he's not allowed to make less money?
Oh no, he said that's what the judge said. He's not allowed to make less money.
But wait, that doesn't make any sense. What if he can't find work? What if he gets fired?
Well, he's a famous actor, so he can't make. Yeah, they did. That was totally the judge's call. Yeah, I'm not even kidding you. This is what happened when we got divorced.
You can't make it illegal for people to make less money. Stuff happens.
Oh,
sometimes.
it's not that it's illegal. It's not that it's illegal. He still has to pay the same amount of alimony and shit.
So if he ended up homeless due to, I don't know, some unforeseen circumstances.
He'd get arrested because he's not making his payments.
Doesn't make any sense. What if, let's just say, he got in an accident and could no longer act anymore?
Oh, it wouldn't matter because the judge made a ruling that he couldn't make less money because of it was like, Okay, Dave Foley's divorce. I guess they have it up on the thing. So let's see if
That doesn't. I would contest that. Doesn't make any sense. I would want a different friggin' judge, because that judge is clearly biased.
Oh, of course, but this is what happens in a lot of divorces, right? Like
You know, to be quite honest,
Hannah Wallen, right? She talks all the time about this. Like I think her current husband or other guys. Yeah, her current husband. I think she was. I really hate to talk about Hannah while she's not here to talk about her own experiences, but I'm pretty sure it was her who talked on Honey Badger Radio all the time about in Ohio how judges have stated that they could be making more money, and so they're going to raise the amount of child support they have to pay.
that doesn't make any sense.
Well, because the court's got to be paid. The more they charge the man for paying child support, the more the court racks in.
That's disgusting.
Oh, the whole thing. No, you want to know what disgusting is? Disgusting is when these two lesbians want to have a child, right? So they go to their male friend. They write up an ironclad contract where it specifically says, right, he is not the father, he is only donating sperm. Right?
Yeah.
So then child support calls him up and says, hey, you owe child support, right? And he goes, no, I don't. I have a contract. All I am is a sperm donor. I am not a father. I'm not a parent in any way, shape, or form. And he tells the lesbians this, right? Because they're friends of his, which is why he donated in the first place, right? And they go, wait, you're getting hit up for child support? That's ridiculously stupid. We have an iron. He goes, contract. He goes, I know. He goes, so the lesbian says, hey, why are you trying to get child support, right, from this guy? I'm the other parent. He's not. The court said it's none of your business to the woman. Yeah, that was their actual response. So
were the two lesbians still together?
Yes, they're still together. She's the other parent.
One
lesbian's the parent, the one who actually gave birth, and the one she's married to, right, or they've been partners with, right? She's the other parent.
I have a question though. What is it any of the court's business? They all three. They all three
to get paid. No, they took this to court, and the court said, no, you have to pay child support. Says, but I have a contract. They said, we don't care.
That doesn't make
Still enforced. It doesn't make sense that a 14-year-old boy, right, gets raped by this 20-something woman. 6 years later, he's told he has to pay 6 years back child support when he legally couldn't have consented, even in that state.
I'm just really confused why the courts got in on that one case if all three people were
because they make money off of it.
Yes, but like, let me, for example, no court ever came after my boyfriend for child support. And they asked me, like I got asked like a couple of times if I wanted to get child support from my boyfriend, and I said no. They didn't go after him themselves, so that's why that seems really
well. That
weird.
wasn't in that case. That wasn't here in Ohio, right? So I guess different courts are going to go after people differently, right?
I guess
especially in some of the poor, more western states.
They bothered me, but as far as I told them, like, had to tell them no a few times because they bothered me about it. But they never went after him because, like, at one point in our relationship, because he couldn't afford his car payment and to live with me, so he lived with his mom while he was paying his car payment. But we were still together, you know.
Right.
So, because like we weren't living together and we weren't married, they would ask.
Okay,
I live in Ohio now.
Here it is. Gay sperm donor told the
right now if Ohio tried to come after my boyfriend for child support. That'd be funny. But I guess we live together now.
Yeah. Okay, so he was a gay man. A gay man from Essex was who donated his sperm to enable a lesbian couple to have 2 children, but who was never named on their birth certificate and had no role in their upbringing, is being forced by the child support agency to pay for their support 13 years after the child was born.
Do they just give him the money back?
They can't give all of it back because the court takes a percentage of it. Mark,
I guess, but like I would give as much as I could. I'd give it right back. Like that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Mark Langridge, who has been with his partners for 16 years, and in civil partnership for the last 5, has called on the government to review the law after the CSA suddenly demanded that he start paying £26 a week for 2 children he technically fathered over a decade ago. He has had no contact with the family since 2004, but the CSA said that he was to either pay up or take a DNA test to show that he is not their natural father. I'd say, fuck you, I'm not doing either. His story will send shives down the spines of any man who was asked to donate their sperm by a childless woman in the 90s. Back then, it was impossible for a woman to use official sperm banks unless they had a male partner. That's ridiculously stupid. Something that is no longer the case. Changes to the law mean that if Langridge made the donation today, in similar circumstances, he wouldn't be financially liable for the children. And he has called for the law governing blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. So he had an ironclad thing, right? And they're still going after him. So this is in the UK.
That's disgusting, though.
Oh, yeah. Oop. That's a different thing. Yeah, I actually liked her video. But yeah, let's get.
So I guess we'll get back. I guess we'll get back to this then, huh?
Yeah, I guess. Okay, so then yeah, so then she goes, it's when someone takes away a woman's finances by destroying her credit, getting her accounts frozen, and I said bullshit. She goes, no, that's bullshit. I said, making shit up isn't a real argument. Feel free to fail again. She goes, Google financial abuse since I'm lying. I said, no. I'm not saying you're lying. I'm saying it isn't really abuse. She isn't trapped. It's just the claim.
Wait. Go back up again what she said above your bullshit.
She goes, it's when someone takes away a woman's finances by destroying her credit. How can he destroy her credit?
He makes the money. It's his bank account. He cannot destroy her credit. Okay? Now, why is it a woman? Why is it when a woman's credit gets destroyed financially and stuff? Why woman? Because you know what? I would say it's financial abuse, quotation marks, to spend all the man's money that's out working, to spend all the family's money, which has happened. Some women putting their families into debt, being shopaholics and stuff. What then? Yep. I think that's more common. I think if anything, he's just trying to stop that. You don't need full access to.
You know, I was okay. So there's the movie Identity Theft, right? Have you seen that movie?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, I have. That movie was freaking hilarious.
Really, I didn't like it very much. I thought it was really cheap and a lot of stupid slapstick.
You know, at first, the very first part of it, I would say I was angry the whole time. I was really angry.
Let me guess, you really hated her.
If you put yourself in that situation, though, like you would be so angry. So it made me feel angry, you know. But at the same time, like as it went on, I found it like more funny, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And my boyfriend had the same reaction where he was angry at first, and then he found it more funny. So it like switched over.
Okay, do you remember the restaurant scene?
It's been a really long time.
Well, after he catches her, right? And then they stop in a restaurant, and he only has so much money, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
got like very little money left because she squandered all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's paying for a dinner, and he's like, okay, don't get anything more than this, this, and that, right? And then she orders all this fucking food. And he's like, bitch, what did I just fucking say? I only have like so much. And then the waitress acts all fucking high and mighty, right? And that's when she lies about him not having a penis and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the waitress is like, you can go use the ladies' room if you need to. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, she got into it, right? Saying like, she can order whatever she wants. Bitch, how the fuck do you know that? If he's the one paying, right? And he only has so much money, do you only want him to pay part of the bill? It's not.
That's why I'd be like, great, you just volunteered yourself to pay for the rest of her food. I mean, since she can order whatever she wants.
Right, and since I only have X amount of money, so are you going to pay the rest of it? Is the restaurant? Like, who's going to pay if she can have whatever she wants, right? Is the rest on you? Because I only got so much money for the both of us combined. Right, so I thought it was like, what is, like, but that's the attitude. You can't tell a woman how much money she can spend while you're spending money on her. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? This is fucking entitlement right fucking there. And this is the entitlement this is the kind of entitlement that I've seen women have all fucking time, right? Since I was a little fucking kid.
I don't know, I was never that. I was taught not to be that rude.
Yeah, okay. I said, and it's his money, she isn't entitled to it. And she goes, which makes her trapped. I'm like, how the fuck is she trapped? Okay. Yeah, so I said, which makes her trapped. And he goes, and what he can do okay, so I said, entitled to it. I guess I said, she goes, which makes her trapped. And I said, what he can and can't do with his penis, you have no entitlement over it and no exclusivity, right? So basically what I'm arguing here is she goes, well, you know, you can't tell someone what to, she goes, it's withholding sex is not abuse, right? I said, okay, so if you can do whatever you want with his, you know, your money, right, then he can do whatever the fuck he wants with his penis, because, you know, including having sex outside of the relationship. So you can't get mad at him.
I would say if somebody withheld sex from somebody, one person in the relationship, for like out of spite or out of like for like months even or years, or did something shitty like that, or held it out of spite or whatever, and then that person went and got it from somewhere else.
Yeah.
You only got yourself to blame then.
Yeah. So, like, if you're withholding sex and he goes out and cheats, right? Because apparently sex has nothing to do with marriage. This is a fucking feminist argument I've heard again and again and again. Marriage has nothing to do with sex. Okay, great. Fine.
You know what
then
my mom told me?
You can't have a problem with him cheating.
Hey,
right?
Guess
it's
what my
not
mom
even cheating because you're not entitled to
Guess what my mom said to me?
What?
Guess what my mom said? My mom, at one point in my relationship, after my daughter was born, she asked, "Are you still having sex with, my boyfriend?" Yeah. And I said, "Yeah, we're still having sex." And she says, "Good, because sex is an important part of a relationship."
Yep, that's true. Now, here's the thing. If you're refusing to have sex with your husband, right, to manipulate him or whatever, then don't complain when he goes out and has sex with another woman, because you cannot keep a guy's dick in a jar. But here's what happens. Right? So she refuses to have sex with him because she doesn't like his attitude towards something, right? He either disagrees with her on a topic, or he did something she didn't like, right? Like either with his money, or the fact that he's not taking her out to some great place for a vacation or whatever, right? So she's going to punish him by not having sex with him. I've actually heard women say this, right in front of me, saying, "I'm removing the V pass or the P pass," and I'm like, "The P pass? The pussy pass?" In other words, I'm not having sex with him until he changes his attitude on this, particular topic. I'm like, uh-huh. So she's trying to control and manipulate him, and she keeps talking about being trapped fiscally. So I'm like, okay, here's how this works, right? If he goes out and has sex with another woman, she's going to threaten to leave him, right? To divorce him. And she's going to take half of his money, and then he's never going to see the kids. Because supposedly child support and child custody are completely two different courts for a reason. A man has to spend out the fucking ass just to get shared parenting. So he can say goodbye to his kids. He has to say goodbye to half the shit he's worked for. He's got to find a new place to live and pay for that while he's paying her alimony / child support / whatever. Plus whatever he loses in the divorce. How is he not trapped? How is he not trapped in that situation? Because you know what? That happened to my uncle. Every other fucking argument they had, right? She was threatening to leave him. Well, that shit backfired on her because once their kids were old enough, he says, no. He says, okay, let's get a divorce. And she comes back like a little later going, well, I was just upset. He goes, no, we're getting divorced. Don't worry about it. And then they got a divorce, and now he's with a woman who looks like she treats him really well. The other woman was completely abusive. She hit him and attacked him all the fucking time. Right? So now he looks like he's with someone who actually gives a shit about him. I swear to God, this woman never smiled. She smirked once, scared the shit out of me, and I'm not easy to scare. So, yeah, like the threatening to leave you is a serious threat, especially over like infidelity and shit. Which I don't even consider that because if you're not fucking your husband, you don't have any claim over his dick, right? According to feminist philosophy, he has no ownership over your vagina, and you have no ownership of his dick. If he wants to go out and masturbate or look at porn or do any of those things, you have or have sex with other women, you have no say because sex apparently is not part of a marriage, according to these dumb fuck idiots. Of course, I should rephrase. Sex is not part of marriage until the woman wants it to be. And only parts of it, right? So, yeah, I'm sick of these dumb fuck arguments from feminists because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
I feel like they've never had a good either they didn't have a good relationship with a guy because of their views, so they never had a good relationship with a guy, and don't understand relationships if they've even been in one. Okay,
so she says, which makes her trapped. I said, are her legs broken too? Is she unable to call a friend or a family member? She goes, the man often terminates any outside relations they women may have.
Okay.
I said, I'm still not buying it because this is just made up shit right here.
She says often. She says often. How often does this? Now, that does not say in domestic violence situation that a man does not try his best to cut ties with a family. That does happen.
Right. It's called mentality.
But men do not often do this. This is bullshit. Okay, this would be a domestic violence thing, and she's spreading it across all men. Men often do this. Men do not often do this. People in domestic violence situations can get into these situations, and it happens to men as well, with the woman cutting off ties to friends and family.
As a matter of fact, when I was having this argument before about spousal rape or whatever, and I was saying, well, if you're not going to have sex with your husband, right? Because the same topic came up various times before. I said, if you're not going to have sex with your husband, then he's free to have sex with other women. He goes, well, I don't think he should cheat. Well, it's not cheating because sex has nothing to do with their marriage.
And right? I'm against cheating, but I'm also against withholding like freaking things like sex for, your little pity party.
Oh, I've been denied sex. I've been denied sex by sexual partner, right? And I said, and they're trying to be all emotionally abusive about it, right? They're trying to manipulate me or you know, the same as I described. And I said, okay. And I wouldn't touch her, right? And then I just pull out my dick and I'd start, you know, shaking it. Now, it's my bed. It's my apartment, right? It's all my things. And she's living there rent-free because she won't pay her portion of the rent. And she goes, ah, that's disgusting. I said, it's less disgusting than putting it in your vagina and creating a smell.
Why is that disgusting?
The masturbate? I have no idea.
I find it sexy. I find it sexy. If my boyfriend's playing with himself, I think it's sexy. I like to watch.
No. What it was that she's pissed that I don't need her.
Nice.
That's what it is.
Well, she wanted to know. She was upset that she wasn't able.
She was trying to shame me for my sexuality. That's what it was. She was trying to shame me for my sexuality because my sexuality doesn't actually need.
I would have been like, bitch, like, why are you even with me if you find it disgusting? You're free to leave.
Yep. So she goes again and again with her making shit up, right? So. I said, making shit up isn't a real argument. Feel free to fail again. I said, okay, then don't bitch. Upset. She goes, financial abuse traps a woman to stay at home, have no money, no independency. Then don't bitch when she has sex with another. I said, then don't bitch when he has sex with another woman. If he isn't entitled to any kind of sex at all, you don't get to tell a man what he gets to do with his penis. That was the other part of that.
Unless like that guy has like a bodyguard trapping that woman in that home, she can leave. She can go get a job. She can apply online for jobs. She can walk. She can go get a driver's license, drive her damn self to her job. She's not trapped.
Okay, so she goes. Kerry Washington runs an organization to help these women, and she's who inspired me. I said, I don't give a fuck. That doesn't prove it's really abuse. And she go, like, I go, I'm still not buying it, right? Because she's keep on this. I said, and if she wants money, she can go out and get her own damn job.
There you go. That's just what I just said. There is nothing stopping her from going out, getting a job, earning her own pay, and leaving him, and finding financial independence on her own.
Yeah, she goes, if it's sex he wants, he can get it from a woman who gives her consent. I said, if she wants money, she can go out and get her own damn fucking job. And this goes on for a while, right? And you can all read this later. I guess I just can't go over all this like I was planning to. There's just too much to cover. I keep saying it doesn't exist. Oh, yeah. This is real fucking sad right here. Yeah, this is right here. You see this right here?
Okay,
This is her citing a legitimate quote unquote source.
Wait. By meeting in person, the men can more strongly connect and bond, as well as reaffirm their beliefs about the enemy. More specifically, the woman they are trying to pick up. Up to now, the enemy has been able to exert their power by isolating us and attacking us with shrieking mobs, but will be able to neutralize that tactic by amassing in high numbers by February 6th.
Yeah. So this is her citing a legitimate source.
What is this?
Text. I don't know, because she didn't properly cite the fucking source. She didn't know how to fucking do that. Like, there's like 20 fucking tweets of me saying, I don't believe you, give me a legitimate source, right? And the first thing she does is just this stupid fucking picture.
Yeah, for one, that could just be some individual's opinion. That doesn't make
I know. So what she basically did, right? So she just takes these pictures of these texts and said, here's the proof, right? I said, I have no way of verifying any of this. This is just text you could have typed up on your phone. And she goes, I've given you proof. No, you haven't. You just took a picture of text.
She needs to have citations, links.
Yeah, I know.
Links.
She couldn't figure out how to fucking do that. That's how dumb
you can't have something that an individual may or may not type up.
So she finally figures it out.
She sends you a link?
Yeah, she finally sent me a link. After all that fucking time, she finally sent me a link. And I'm gonna now pull up two Twitter things. So I can look at both.
I do have to say that it's never taken me this long to link things.
It was so fucking stupid. The bitch didn't know how to cite a fucking source. She also doesn't know what a fucking legitimate source is. Because what she does is she links a fucking blog.
Oh my god.
Right? That doesn't cite any sources.
So it's a blog that doesn't even give you any sources.
No!
For itself.
No. She said, well, like she interviewed a journalist who was talking about it. I said, that doesn't mean anything.
Hey, if Wikipedia is citing sources better than you need to rethink yourself.
Okay, so she finally figured out yeah, she goes, yeah, she does this mic drop when all the things she said was completely retarded. It's like, bitch, you don't get to do a mic drop on that's not a mic drop circumstance. That's just you being more assertive, not being more factually. She goes, all you're given are opinions. The issue is real and should be taken seriously. What you're saying is those women suffering are false and that it isn't real.
You never said that.
Controlling husbands is controlling because they're. I know. She's just putting words in my mouth. I'm saying she hasn't. False. Only some men, just like there are some women. And that was responding to telling who to speak to, telling her who not to speak to, telling her if she leaves, she says hick, but she means him, he'll kill her. Oh, of course she will, because all men are murderers, or are you psychic? Because she's saying what he will do, right?
Yeah.
She's saying, like, he does this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, because you're fucking psychic and shit. Right, yeah. She's just saying, oh, because all men do this. It's fucking bullshit. She goes, false, only some men. Right, well, if it's some men, why do you keep saying all? Why do you keep saying this is what these men do, right?
Multiple times.
This is exactly what all men do who don't give, it's fucking stupid. I think some people are bad and some people are good. I want to say the entire gender is because of one person's actions. I said, yes, you do. She goes, no, you do. You're the one with the all men are murderers.
We can back up again. If people would like to rewind the video, there were times that even I pointed out where she's like, men do this, men do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's called sarcasm, and I was using it to make fun of your dipshit tweet. Let's see if I can find those pictures she took.
I'm surprised that you went on this long without being blocked. I mean, I just had a conversation today that lasted like 2 minutes, and I got blocked after throwing out some facts.
Okay, so yeah. Okay, so here's more pictures of this. This is her citing. This is the first time she tried to cite a source. Right here. Who's
having all these meetings in all these countries?
Yeah, I don't know what any of this is, but this is supposed to be about financial abuse, rape rallies. Yeah. Okay, so this is where she said some men are pro-rape. MRAs are pro-rape.
No. MRAs are not pro-rape.
Yeah,
there might be some men
right, and then this was her doing it again. See, actually, look at the top of this. She goes, "Here is where they held it." Hold on, let's see.
Saying MRAs are pro-rape is like saying feminists are pro-equality. It's just not true.
Okay, so she talks about here's more proof, right? So then she finally, after all this fucking time, this is like 20 hours later, after all this fucking time, she finally figures out how to link a source. So then I check out her source, pro-rape.
I bet you were excited.
I was like, yeah. I actually said, finally, she figures out how to cite a source. Now let's check it for facts. I said, holy fuck, it only took her 120 tweets to figure that out. Wow. Jesus fucking Christ. Now it's time to fact check it. Right? So, now I can see where she got the DNA info into the picture, right? But she still didn't, I had no way to verify what this information was. This was written by Lindsay Rice, right? You can see it at the top of the screen here. And this is a complete bullshit blog because she says a group of men's rights activists, and the person she's talking about is Roosh. Roosh is not a men's rights activist.
Who's
He
Roosh?
never was. Roosh, he's the pickup artist.
Oh, no, wait, I know that guy. He's not a men's rights activist.
I know. So right off the bat, we have this bitch lying or so fucking incompetent that she doesn't know the difference between a men's rights activist and a pro-rapist. And a men's rights activist and a pickup artist, right? And she's saying that he's pro-rape and stuff, and that they had this rally. Now look at the picture of the rally. Look at all those fucking people. Oh, wait, those are just people walking. That's a generic picture that doesn't show the rally, doesn't show any picket signs, doesn't show anything. I read it. Reading along here, she goes, these men that hate women but still try to date them, and she's talking about MRAs there. She goes, aside from his pro-rape stance, he's not pro-rape. He's talking about changing the laws of what is and isn't considered rape, right? And his argument is that if you make rape only when it's in a public place, right? Like if a woman willingly goes into a man's dwelling, right, then it can't be considered rape because she willingly chose to go in there, right? And he goes, if we made that legal, right, if we changed the laws, then women would actually start being more cautious with their bodies, and you wouldn't get these coyote, ugly, fake accusations of rape. That's essentially his argument broken down, right, to the best of my understanding. Now, I may be wrong on some of this, but I'm pretty sure I've got that right. Now, it's funny because when there was the MRA / anti-feminist / Gamergate / whatever mix-up meetup that Unvarnished and I met at, that Hannah Wallen set up, right, before we went to the event, I asked her how many women were going to be there because I was interested. And she goes, you guys are really bad at being misogynist. Because apparently I'm not the only guy who asked. And apparently the only females there were Unvarnished and Hannah Wallen that I recall. Well, and my biological mother came too. Yeah. She drove us down there. And she had to be the one driving because she rented the car out. And I wasn't there to give my ID and all that other stuff. So they said only she was allowed to drive it. So she had to drive us down and back. And I really wanted to drive back.
So many people were inquiring about me.
Well, you know, I mean, I knew you were going to be there. I should have picked you up, actually. It would have been faster.
Yeah,
since,
I need to go on record and say that there was zero rape.
Yeah, there you go. Now,
Despite me surrounded by all these men.
Okay, not just men, right? But all these MRAs who supposedly hate women. Did you feel uncomfortable at all at the thing?
No, I felt incredibly comfortable. I felt like I could open up and be social with everybody, and that everyone was really kind and welcoming.
In spite of the fact she played Pokemon Go for like 4 hours.
Yes.
So yeah. So you didn't feel threatened at all. You didn't feel.
No.
And keep in mind, Unvarnished is hours and hours away.
I live hours away from my home, and I was in a car for long periods of time with men by myself.
Men she didn't know.
That I didn't
directly, or in person wise. So yeah, she Unvarnished is hours and hours away from me, right? So I'm not holding her hostage. We're
You know
over
what
the
I
internet,
would be?
right?
You know what I'd be more afraid of? I would be more afraid of some guy saying he's a feminist and being alone with him.
Is that because
I'd
you
be
probably
more.
kicked the crap out of him?
No, it's because over and over again, why are there so many male feminists that keep getting sexual assault charges and rape charges filed against them? I'm just
Some of those were found guilty. They had sufficient
yes.
evidence to convict them.
Now, to me,
Whereas,
I think that would be I'd be more fearful of some guy that said he was a feminist, and I would found myself in a lone situation with him before it was some guy who said that he was MRA. If I had to base my judgment on MRA or feminist, I would choose to be alone in a room with an MRA.
interesting. From the woman unscripted. So she says a lot of things here that are complete bullshit, right? She quote mines, she misappropriates, like nothing in her article is legit. I couldn't find a single thing in her statements that were intellectually honest, and this is the proof that some men's rights are pro-rape.
And she didn't really name any because we can't count that one guy. She didn't cite any sources herself.
Here's her definition of financial abuse. Financial abuse is a common tactic used by abusers to gain power and control in a relationship. The forms of financial abuse may be subtle or overt, but in general include tactics to limit the partner's access to assets. It doesn't say stop them from having money. It says to limit the partner's access to assets or to conceal information and accessibility to the family's finances. Not her finances, not his finances, but to the family's. So if he has a second savings account that he doesn't tell her about, according to this definition, it's financial abuse.
That's weird because at this stage, I would recommend that men have a second one that they keep hidden from their wives that are just going to marry and divorce them for money.
Divorce lawyers will tell husbands who think their wives are going to leave them to do this very thing, to hide funds, right? So that they can have enough to survive and to pay for lawyers and everything else, so that before the assets get completely frozen.
This seems like wise financial advice.
So it doesn't say anything about stopping her from getting her own job. It doesn't say anything that she keeps describing in her fucking tweets. Nowhere in there. It says subtle or overt, but in general include tactics to limit the partner's access to assets.
I would say that the only way that this would be criminal at all is if the woman contributed money, was also working, and he was stopping her from having access to her own funds.
She goes, read number 2Z, and I'm addressing financial abuse. And under abuse, it says for the number 2, which he's using, right? Because you can use either or one, right? It depends on the context of how you're trying to use it. It says treat a person or an animal with cruelty or violence, especially regularly or repeatedly. Bitch, not giving you money isn't cruelty. Earn your own damn money. So not concealing information and accessibility to the family finances, right? Or to limit the partner's access to assets is cruelty how? And it's just shit she keeps picking up.
Only if it's like her assets.
She goes,
trying to steal.
Listen to this. This is funny. She goes, so not having sex is abusive to a man, an argument I never made to her. She goes, haha, I just asked my boyfriend. He said no.
Haha, Oh, I just asked my boy. Well, why don't you withhold sex from your boyfriend for manipulative reasons for a few months, and let's see
okay. Well, he's dating a feminist, so that should tell you something. I said, your boyfriend is an authority on the matter. Argument from authority. Argument invalid. Feel free to fail again. She says, you said withholding sex from a man is abusive. I asked the man. He said no. I said, and
I wish I could ask my boyfriend right now.
Okay. I said,
I'm sure he'll come up with a different reason, a different
now,
opinion.
Audrey,
I could ask my mom. I just gave you the example of my mom saying that it's important to a relationship.
I said, okay. I said, and Mara _ Figurist, that's Audrey, for those of you who don't know, is a woman who says not giving money to your spouse is an abuse. She goes, if the money is rightfully hers and he destroys everything that is hers financially with the intent to keep her trapped is. I said, we don't know that it's rightfully hers. We don't know if she earns any money at all. And even so, she still used an argument from authority. Her boyfriend is not an authority on whether or not something is or isn't abuse. So her claiming that that her boyfriend's response, not only that, but I also can't confirm that. Whereas when I posted Audrey as a source, we can see not only do I mention her, like in the tweet, I use her @ so it pulls up on her thing. We also can see her tweet where she said that it isn't financial, that it isn't real abuse. So I can go to anyone too and ask them, and now we have one person versus one person who says the other person's full of shit. So she's trying to get a bandwagon argument here going, and she's failed at it. So even under her own definition of abuse, and even under like the definition of abuse and the definition she provides for a financial abuse, neither one of these things is anything that she's talking about. If a man won't let his wife leave her house to go get a job, that's false imprisonment. That's sorry, not false.
That's abuse.
That's wrongful. That's wrongful imprisonment. That is not financial abuse. That is straight up abuse.
Yeah, I would say that is abuse, and I would not. I wouldn't really put it under financial abuse.
Now,
but like she can't. All she cited was most men. Most men do this. Like, no, most men don't do this.
We're saying that's what men do. It's like, bitch, don't get me started.
I mean,
she goes,
how about quotation marks? Does her boyfriend do that?
By the way, a woman doesn't withhold sex to her husband trapped with no access to the outside world. Yeah, actually, it's not no access to the outside world. It's no access to his own children. It's taking money away from him, which limits his hold on, I know the word for this. It's just stuck in my head. His spending power. It's limiting where he can move to and all this other shit. So yeah,
I got advice for people. You should not, unless the guy's completely being an asshat and is refusing to help you out with the kids at all and like leaves or whatever, and leaves you with all the responsibility of the kids. You should not seek inside of a court, if you do not have to get child support. If you guys can settle at home on a child support amount, or that he's going to help, with the kids' clothes and food and whatnot.
In college.
It's a waste, into college and stuff. It is a complete waste of money that could be used towards raising the children.
Well, let's get one thing straight. Child support has nothing to do with how much money it's needed to support the child. It's based on how much the man makes, and that shit's not right.
They should. Well, that's like another. That's probably like another thing too. Like, I don't.
Hold on. I want to get to this. That was part of this conversation, right?
I'm sorry. Go on.
By the way, a woman withholding sex to her husband trapped with no access to the outside world. I said her trying to control and demean him through sex is more abuse. I say more abuse than refusing to let someone squander all of your money. He goes, how about you think with your big head instead of the little one? I said, why don't you try arguing after you get off the rag?
Nice. She's like, I like how she instantly, you pointed out like something, a good argument for something, and she instantly.
Yeah, she went instantly for the stupid, cheap ass, fucking sexist, I might add, insult. Yeah. So I went right for a sexist one myself. Exactly. She goes, "Are you justifying financial abuse?" I said, "No, I'm saying that it doesn't exist. She isn't entitled to his money." Like, I have to repeatedly say this because she's this fucking stupid. I'm not rereading the same tweets, people. I'm not. I swear. You can go look this up yourself. We are talking about when the money is hers. No, nowhere in your definition does it ever say the money is hers. Nowhere in your definition does it say, or she goes, and he gets access to withdraw the money. He doesn't.
She's trying to change the goalposts. She's trying to change the goalposts.
Move the
goalposts.
What
she's doing here. She's she's
He's
moving
saying, make her quit her job. Money. How the fuck do you make someone quit their job? How do you make them? I want to know.
They got a gun to their head. Are you like holding up their puppy hostage? What? Like you have to quit your job from this puppy?
I said the definition you posted didn't say shit about who owns the money. No, she's trying to talk in a specific situation, right? That's outside the definition she fucking posted.
If it's her, and we could just go on in here. If it is her money, then that's criminal. He's stealing from her. She is not trapped, by the way, because she can go and take him to court at that point. She's like, if there's a woman that works in the relationship and she's making money, everything's getting put into the same bank, but he's not letting her have any access to that bank, then she could take him to court and be like, I want access to my funds. Look, here's the proof that my money goes into this. Here's the proof that he's not letting me have any access to this kind of thing. She could take him to court, okay? That's illegal. You can't do that.
Yeah, I know. And she goes, it happens every day, and women can't leave because she has children and has nowhere else to be. You know, bullshit.
What about
there are abusive shelters for women all over this fucking country.
There are. There's shelter, unlike for men. There are plenty of shelters for women.
There are friends she can call. There are family members she can call, right? Like, even if it's out of the blue, she can leave a message on a fucking answer me scene or a voicemail and say, look, this is what's happening. Please come get me. I'm in a lot of trouble.
And we're not even talking about the other forms of abuse here. We're talking that this woman is just suffering financial abuse, apparently.
Right.
This woman isn't suffering any other kind of abuse. It's just the financial abuse.
Right. So, no, like, all the things she describes in here, right, are regular abuse. They have nothing to do with financial abuse. It has nothing to do with her definition. None at all. And then she does this fucking mic drop bullshit. I'm like, bitch, you got to earn a mic drop.
It's just really weird that she keeps moving the goalpost to the woman's...
yeah, she keeps asking, look, here it is again. Do you condone financial abuse? Do you condone men trapping women and making her sex slave?
What?
When the fuck did I say anything about that?
How did she connect the two?
Something that doesn't exist.
How did she connect the two between financial abuse and that?
Trapping a woman and making her sex slave.
How is that a connection? What in the world?
Because she's conflating all abuse with financial abuse. The definition she posted earlier. And I'm sorry, but that's nowhere similar. So I'm not arguing that abuse doesn't exist. I'm saying financial abuse doesn't fucking exist.
Of course abuse exists. Of course women get abused, and that is
absolutely
awful thing. So do men. It is absolutely awful. It's a very sad thing. There are shelters. Oh dear. Whoa. Sorry.
Aunt Varnish is so hot and bothered, her fire alarm is going off.
I know. That's like... Probably somebody in my apartment
look at this tweet up here. Look at the top. She goes, by justifying these men's actions, you're basically telling those women that their fears aren't real. I didn't justify their actions. I haven't justified anyone's actions. This is you repeating your lie over and over and over and over again.
Did you ask
I never justified these men's actions.
Please point out a man.
Doesn't happen.
Please point out a man that just financially abused his wife. That's it. Just financial abuse. And let's see the example.
Oh, she did post like another source but it was just a blogging website.
No, we're not going to look at your blogging website. She needs to start posting actual sources. She needs to start posting out specific examples. If she wants to talk about specific examples, she needs to give some.
She goes right here. This is what she cited.
A cat?
This is her citing. No, this is the pop-up for the website. Right? Okay, and then nowhere in here am I seeing financial abuse. Abuse of children. Marital manipulation. Right, okay.
All these things that women do too.
Okay, so it's under marital manipulation. I did not originally see that. It says financial abuse can occur in a marriage as a means to have control. Okay, so where's the citation for this? This is just a typed up whatever. They keep saying this happens, but they don't cite any actual fucking examples. There's no source to back this up, right? So her source doesn't even have a source. By now, okay, let's read this whole thing.
The only thing I can consider financial abuse is if if the man or the woman doesn't let the other partner have any money despite them putting money into
an account.
Into the account as well, and that's illegal, and that's the only thing I can think of that would be anywhere close to financial abuse.
Yeah, I don't get it. Unless, you know what, I take it back. There is a form of financial abuse that is legitimate, right? So if somebody goes handicapped for a while and someone gets the power of attorney, right?
Okay.
And then they abuse that person's finances for their own personal gain. In that case, it's financial abuse.
There we go.
But in all other cases, it's bullshit. It's not actual abuse.
No.
Okay, that could be to have control over a partner in order to make him feel hopeless enough to never leave. One partner might not. Oh, so in this case, they're actually saying financial abuse. It could affect him. One partner might not allow the other to have access to any of the household money, or he might give only a small allowance. What's wrong with that? If he's doing all the fucking work and he's responsible for all the fucking debts in the family, right? Especially if his name's on everything, then what's wrong with the small allowance?
I think a partner.
Oh, you have to work within a budget, you poor fucking baby.
I think a partner that's the one that's like, let's say he or she is working, making majority of the money or all the money, and it has to pay and be responsible and balance out the family's finances, and then gives you a small allowance of those finances would not be in any way, financial abuse. Like, you need to stick to your allowance because this is what the family can afford, or we need to be able to have some savings as well.
Yeah.
In my case,
and I've seen women spend money on the dumbest fucking things possible.
That's true. I have probably. No, but like with me and my boyfriend, like I have like access. His name is the only name on the account, even though my money goes in there too, but I actually have his credit card written down for me. But I actually pay the bills. I pay the online bills and stuff, so I need to have that.
Okay.
So I am in charge of the billing and stuff, so that makes sense. But if I wasn't, like he goes to the store with me when I go grocery shopping and stuff, like I should not have 100% access of the money even all the time, because I only work a part-time job too, so I don't even put like as much as he does into the account. So there's no way I need to be spending a bunch of money or anything. I need to be putting it in for the family. Make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect fucking sense. There's nothing about that doesn't. But like, yeah, so her source is nothing but someone just making an opinion piece.
Yeah, I need more examples of it, because some sort of like, what?
Oh, here's the other one. Here's the other one.
You know what?
Purple purse.
You know what
this
I can
is
do?
their other source. Go ahead. Yes.
I actually just remembered. Okay. an abuse story, okay? I just remembered an abuse story where this happened.
Look at the screen.
Help domestic violence victims become...
No, look at the Allstate. Look at next to the Allstate.
1 in 4 women will experience... Oh, my God, not that. Not that. Allstate, what are you doing?
No, I think you just put the label right next to that. That is such bullshit. 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence in her lifetime. Yeah, I'd love to see what they call... I'd love to see what they call domestic violence for women, and what they say is domestic violence for men. I really would, because I'm betting in the same circumstances. Oh, but her feelings. Fuck her feelings. Let's look at the reality of the situation.
Anyways, what was the thing? Oh yeah, I remembered one domestic violence story actually that had something that could be classified as financial abuse. But this is very extreme, okay? And it didn't just include financial abuse. This woman was locked in her house with her child, and she couldn't exit the house. Now, how did he do this? When he left, he had somebody come and watch the house.
Right.
He had her on complete 100% lockdown. And he had a friend that would come and watch her, okay?
Yeah.
And be in the house to make sure that she could not leave the house.
Okay.
And all she got was a little bit of money for food.
Uh-huh.
So he kept a tight hold on all that. But he also didn't, she'd have to kind of budget for the kids, clothes and her and stuff like that. So I guess that could be abusive, but is abusive in so many different levels because it had the manipulative.
First of all, that's a general abuse, but only giving her so much that she has to budget. That's not financial abuse.
Yeah, that's not that you have to
I'm gonna take a step back from what I said earlier. There is another form of financial abuse. If you hit someone with a gold brick, that's financial abuse.
You know what? If your husband locks you in the house and he's earning all the money and you can't clothe yourself or your child well or feed yourself or your child very well,
that's not financial abuse. That's just flat out abuse.
I guess it's done with finances, but that's actually very abusive.
Well, no, because you can get clothing for free.
Not if you can't exit the house, though.
If you can't exit the house, you can't buy anything with any money anyway.
That's true. But I know that she was only allowed out of the house to go grocery shopping or something, and everything was super strict.
At which case, she can go to the counter in the grocery store and say, please call the police. Or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because every time I go to the grocery store, right, like Giant Eagle, there is a sheriff, there is a police officer standing there, or they have this thing called a counter, which you say, please call the police, I'm being abused, my husband has someone watching me right now. Bam! There you go!
I think the guy, or either him or the guy, was always with her. So I don't think she really wasn't able to escape. And it got worse and worse to where she was trapped in the house more and more until the point where I think at the end she wasn't even allowed to go out to go grocery shopping. I just remember, I can't remember it all, but I think that is the worst case of domestic abuse I had ever read about so far.
Right. Well, no, because I keep reading about how these women kill their children. And people keep forgetting that's domestic violence as well.
It is. Oh no! I just saw a domestic violence thing where this old lady, her husband, he had to have his leg amputated from the knee down, and she only fed him 1 Meals on Wheels meal a day, and he wasn't allowed out of the room, which was according to people covered with feces and old food, and he couldn't get out. And he was 100 pounds when they found him and took him to the hospital and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah,
Did he survive?
I think they said that he was living with his children now. His children had a falling out with their mom, and then they weren't allowed to visit the home anymore. And so that was when his decline happened.
Okay.
And so he's now living with his children.
Experience.
He's now living with his children, and I believe they said that he was gaining weight and stuff. And she didn't even let him have his, because like another reason he had like a seizure and stuff was another reason that he was like just, you know, a bit disabled and everything. And she didn't let him give him any of his medication over the past couple of years. So it's lucky that he survived it all and managed to crawl out of the room and onto the porch to seek help.
Huh. Yeah, so, like, yeah, but if you're allowed to go to the grocery store, that's when you take the moment and you go to a police officer or to an employee in the store and say, help me. My husband has someone watching over me. I'm being abused. I'm being imprisoned in my own home. Please help me. A woman says that to anyone in any grocery store in America. Somebody's going to fucking hear that shit and put a stop to it.
I can't sit there and say anything to the psychology behind abusive victims and the fear that they must face, but definitely always try to seek help if you can, even if you're in these really bad situations, because people will help you. And there is shelters and resources out there to help you. I wish there was more to help the men as well in these situations.
Yeah, but okay, so this is the purple purse thing. That's her providing proof again, and all this says is Lori got out, but it shouldn't be this hard. Physical, mental, and emotional abuse, and then it goes on. Nowhere does it say financial. Nowhere on this whole fucking page does it say anything about financial abuse. It just says domestic violence. Huh?
Who's Lori, though?
Lori, I don't know. There's some story they have about her or whatever. It doesn't really matter because it has nothing to do with what she's fucking arguing. I mean, it does matter. Lori, like, is probably a real person or whatever, but it has nothing to do with what she's arguing. Here's an organization that helps women. Yeah, good for them. What the fuck does this have to do with your argument? Read on and you'll understand. I did read on. There's nothing there to read.
I think she's like trying to say that you're just for abuse or something.
No,
even though you're just trying to argue one type of abuse.
Not giving a bitch money is not abuse.
Them all,
and she hasn't proved otherwise.
Abuse. She's trying to throw all the abuse together.
Yeah, and she's conflating all the other abuses, saying, well, if all these other abuses exist, then financial abuse exists as well. No, I'm sorry, it doesn't work that fucking way.
I guess if racism exists, then institutional racism exists as well. Like what?
You out of anyone should know some things don't go away by walking out the front door. I know a lot of things go away when you walk out the front door. I said, actually, I know very well how much does go away when you simply leave. Yeah, I have. I gave you sympathy and you say women who are abused aren't real. No, I'm saying financial abuse isn't real, you dumb bitch. This is the next day. One was October 20th. This is now October 21. I never said abuse wasn't real. I said financial abuse wasn't real. This bitch can't read or comprehend what she reads at all. Do you just spread the hate because of how someone treated you? No, it has nothing to do with how I was treated. It has to do with you backing up a simple fucking claim with real sources. Something she hasn't done throughout this entire fucking argument is back up her claim. But you claim women who don't have sex with their husband is abuse. Get the fuck out of here. I said I could make a better argument that a woman withholding sex was abuse than you could. The financial abuse was a real thing. She says, and you said I played victim when actually you did. No, I never played victim. I said I've suffered abuse, but I never said I was a victim. You got abused by your exes. Yes, but I didn't say I was a victim. And got mad when people said it isn't real. I never said abuse wasn't real. At no point in time did I ever say that.
She's trying to just straw man and shit.
Yeah, she is. That's all she's doing. She's just twisting everything so it comes out her way. No one sees that as abuse except a man who thinks he's entitled to have sex with his wife whenever he wants. No, again, she's straw manning.
You never said that. You said withholding, and withholding in my definition
to manipulate and control him. Yeah.
Which I would disagree with and say is a very wrong thing to do in a relationship. to use anything to manipulate and control your partner. You shouldn't. Your partner is supposed to be your partner, not a toy you think you can manipulate and control to your whim.
Yeah, she says, you're contradicting yourself very badly. Do you claim that everything that goes against men fake? No, because I never made that argument. I said, I haven't contradicted myself once. That's just some bullshit you say and try to throw me off. Do you even know what the word means? She said you got mad when people called your abuse fake, but call other forms of abuse fake and blame feminism. Did you not? You did. Actually, no, I didn't. See, what she did is she went and she saw some of my videos, right? The one where I opened up, the one you were part of, when I talked about my experience with domestic abuse. See, here's the difference. I never claimed that I was financially abused. I said when a man hits a woman or when a woman hits a man, it's abuse in both circumstances. I'm paraphrasing what I said, right? So when you have two much older kids beating up on a smaller kid, that's abuse regardless of what gender they are. Whether it's two older boys beating up on a smaller boy, or when it's two girls beating up on a smaller boy, right? Or two older boys beating up on a small girl, right? In both cases, and all those cases, that is physical abuse. I have contradicted myself, emotional, I've been consistent.
You can have physical abuse, and you can have like emotional or mental abuse done to you. But if somebody takes money from you, that's theft.
Yeah, but we're not even talking about that. We're talking about financial abuse. And you said you got mad when people called your abuse fake. Yeah, because it's sexist to say that it's not real when it happens to a male. So if I hit you upside the head with a frying pan, unvarnished, that's physical abuse. But according to feminist Bodie here, if you hit me with a frying pan, that's not physical abuse. That would be a contradiction, because I'm using special pleading based on gender, which I haven't done. I'm saying financial abuse isn't real because withholding money from someone isn't abuse. They can go out and get their own fucking money. When she said that, oh, I'm not talking about that, bitch, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. Because what you're talking about has nothing to do with the definition you posted for financial abuse.
She's moved the goalpost too many times. She needs to calm down. She's getting tired because she's moving that goalpost so much.
But she also can't comprehend what she listens to.
She doesn't even know her own argument anymore because she's moved the goalpost too many times.
Yeah, exactly. She goes, grow the fuck up, honestly. I said, I put in quotations, grow the fuck up. Translation, do what I want you to do. Want, and another mistake you made.
What?
Oh, because I said, do what you do. But if you notice, I've been reading her grammatic mistakes the whole fucking time. She's made about 20 of them. She goes, want, with the asterisk, another mistake you made.
Hey, you want to know something?
She's made shitloads of them through the whole thing.
You want to know what I find? I find when people point out like little grammatical errors or mistakes like that in the middle of a debate or argument or whatever, that they have themselves a weak argument that they can no longer argue or defend. So they've got to like pull stuff out of their ass at this point and will pick out a tiny little thing. Like, that has nothing to do with your argument. That has nothing to do with any of your facts or your position on the matter. And she just lost the entire debate at that point.
Yeah, she goes, it's not giving someone finances abuse. It's tallying away her personal finances and taking away her freedom and making her isolated to the outside world to help the man's ego. No, it's not. Nowhere in your definition did it say anything like that. Nowhere. Nope. Nowhere did it say anything about tallying away her personal finances. Nowhere in your definition. It says not giving her full access to the house's finances, the houses, which means they're implying that some of the money not given to her, or telling her about all the personal, like the bank accounts that the family has in whole, right? Giving her access to all of it.
Which, you know, if you're not the person paying the bills or the person who's making the most money and balancing like the family finances, you don't need full access.
Yeah, I know. That's that. So, but it's still abuse based on her definition, which is why the definition is bullshit. She keeps saying it's not about finances, but if it's not about finances, then it's not financial abuse. You dumb shit.
Basically,
it's regular abuse.
She's lost her argument so many times at this point.
You fought back. That's self-defense. You never said you fought back. You said you were abused. You're a fucking liar. Just because I fought back does not mean I wasn't abused.
Yeah, that doesn't even make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. You were abused, so you had to fight back.
You can defend yourself while you're being abused. You dumb shit. All are relevant to the definition. No, they're not. I gave you the numerous links. No, you didn't back up anything you fucking screamed. You didn't back up anything. All your sources were a fucking joke. None of them had credible information on them. None of them had anything to do with what you were talking about. Nothing, none of them, not one of them backed up your fucking argument. You said, here's a blog, now go read shit. As if that backed up what you said. What you linked to did not support your arguments at all. Not the men's rights having a pro-rape rally. That bitch lied throughout that whole fucking article. You were nothing in the links provided proof that financial abuse was a real thing. It talked about it, but it didn't prove it. It didn't demonstrate it in any real way. Nothing you fucking said in any way backed up your argument. As Unfarned said, you've consistently and unendingly moved the goalposts talking about shit that has nothing to do with finances. If it's not about finances, it isn't financial abuse. The term is self-descriptive. It's self-explanatory. Financial, and about finances, abuse. Abuse dealing with finances.
Okay, here. I just looked up I just looked up 5 types of abusive relationships. Okay? Abusive relationships bring to mind physical violence. At the same time, many forms of abuse don't leave bruises.
Hold on. Yeah. I'm going to stop screen sharing. And I want you to screen share.
Okay, nobody make fun of my thousands of tabs. Where is this? Okay, so I got that. Oh,
in another video, someone said, dude, you have so many tabs open. So, yeah, like they commented on how many tabs I had open. That's because I have a lot of memory. So, yeah, I can get away with it. Deal with it. No, but like, yeah, I did have a whole lot of tabs.
Okay, it says that I am sharing. Am I sharing?
You are now. Yeah, it looks it.
Okay, let me go over here. This wasn't it.
Thegoodtherapy.org.
This is this is
an organization. Probably not got it.
This one is it. The 5 types of abusive relationships, and one is control. So this actually this actually mentions financial abuse, but not in any way that she did. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Abusive relationships brings to mind, or that she was like kind of trying to like narrow it down. She didn't say it first. Brings to mind physical violence. At the same time, many forms of abuse don't leave bruises. Attempts to control a spouse's behavior, friends, finances. This is the only one with finances, but this is actually trying to control the other person's finances, which is illegal. Okay, your money's being stolen from you. Go cops. Or activities is often the first sign of an abusive situation and may be a precursor to violence. So if your partner's being really trying to control you, leave.
Right. So this isn't financial abuse. This is abuse via controlling activity, right?
This is controlling abuse, but it mentions finances there. So somebody's trying to control your finances. So this is a controlling behavior. But it lists all these other things that they're probably going to do. Someone who has a controlling are going to try to control everything about you. They're going to slowly do it.
Or
This has been
activities.
seen time and
This
time
has been
again.
For sign, these are signs of abuse.
That
These
you
are
might be in
signs
an
of abuse.
abusive relationship.
Not forms of abuse, but signs of abuse. Go ahead. I just wanted to point that out. Go ahead.
Abusers tend to isolate their victims to chip away at their self-esteem until he or she becomes the only person in the victim's world. Control may be attempted by using threats, anger, or excessive criticism.
Okay, now I wanna stop. So I had this argument right about a while back. I think it was like in 2009 with this feminist on YouTube, and I mentioned and I talked about this earlier in the show about how I said, okay, well, if she's not in, if marital rape is a thing, right? I'll give you that to you as a given, right? But sex isn't a part of marriage, right? Which was her argument. I said then she shouldn't mind if he has sex with somebody else. And she goes, no, I don't think a guy should cheat. I said, but you want to keep a guy's dick in a jar. She goes, well, I don't think a guy should cheat. Right, so she just reiterated her own argument. And I posted link after link after link. And one of the links I did was the Amazing Atheist put up a video of a friend. And his friend said that he's dated this girl, that he hasn't been able to date anyone for like 3 years because this relationship was so bad. He dated this girl who tried to isolate him, right? She said that she didn't like him watching this movie or that movie.
By the way, isolation was a sign of abuse. It's first sign of abuse.
It's a sign of abuse, but in itself is not abuse. So that alone is not big abuse. It's just a sign of abuse. Yeah. I want to make that absolutely clear, right? Because it doesn't flat out say. Now he says that I wanted to see these movies real bad, but she said because this woman was in it, right? She didn't want me being attracted to the other woman, right? So stopping me from being able to see other women, like visually see them, right? Then he says, then I found out that she saw the movie on her own. And apparently she was cheating on him this whole time while telling him like when they can and cannot have sex, telling him that he can't masturbate, like all these other things, right? Now this has been a while, so I might be misremembering parts of it. And I linked her to this video. And she goes, oh, I'm not going to look at that. I said, why not? She goes, people don't generally cite source. I'm not going to look up somebody's sources on the internet. I said, and then what the fuck is the point? Yeah. I said, I asked her numerous times to cite her sources, and she goes, oh, people don't do that on YouTube. I said, everybody fucking does that. The burden of proof is on those who assert. You asserted something, so back it up. I backed up mine, and you refused to look at the evidence. And she was just going, nope, people don't do that. I said, yes, they fucking
everybody does.
I know.
People who don't have any evidence don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the same thing here. She keeps posting these things, right, thinking that they prove her right, but they don't even back up the claim that she's immediately making.
So silly.
Yeah, this is fucking sad and pathetic. I'm quoting your words, so that makes you forgetting what you're saying. I'm like, no, you're not. That's all I said. She wasn't quoting me. What's wrong with the links I gave you? They prove it's real. No, they don't. They talk about it, but they don't prove it's real. They don't demonstrate it in any real way, and neither has she. Feminism has nothing to do with this. Feminism had everything to do with her fucking arguments. Okay, so she says, to keep a woman silent and trapped with no help at all. I said, bullshit. Not giving a woman money doesn't silence her and doesn't trap her. That's just shit you made up. She says, destroying her reputation denies her access anywhere. Destroying her reputation? What the fuck does her reputation have the fuck to do with finances? Denying her access anywhere. Terminating outside relationships does. But that has nothing to do with finances. I said, fart rape. By farting louder than a man is using passive-aggressive violence. I said, FYI, this is what you sound like. She goes, feminist has nothing to do with this. Dude, this is a feminist fucking theory right here. Feminists are the one who came up with fart rape. And this is what she sounds like. This is exactly the kind of thing she sounds like. By farting louder than the man is using passive-aggressive violence. Well, if it's passive-aggressive, then it's not violence. To position himself as dominant.
Women are the masters of passive-aggressive, so...
Yeah, this intimidates the woman to subconsciously not release as much flatulence, and thus the woman, fearing for her safety, doesn't fart as loud as a sign of submissiveness. This, in turn, contributes to rape culture and women being oppressed. Like, this is the same kind of shit she's saying. This is the exact same kind of argument she's making. And then she goes, feminism has nothing to do with this. Yes, it does. Where do you think the term came from? And even if it didn't, that's still what you sound like. She did not like that. So then, yeah, I'm going to skip ahead a lot.
You're not screen sharing anymore, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, oops, sorry, my bad. Okay, well, again, you can still go to, I mean, we don't really have anything more, pressing to actually, like, visually show you, but, for the audience out there, I don't even think I've had any viewers this whole time. I haven't actually looked, and I'm not looking at the YouTube thing right now. So if anyone's left any YouTube comments while we were recording this, I apologize. Oh, this is when she gets epically fucking stupid. Oh, she says, name one thing feminism was actually behind. Tell me. So I did.
What? Why was she asking you for that, though?
Well, I skipped a lot of the conversation. Okay. We're already into like 2 hours now, almost.
Okay.
So I'm skipping a lot of the conversation. Anyone can go back and read my comments and everything else. I advise having 2 windows. The comments she said to, I guess you can't do that because it's my notifications. But, well, you can go down into and look at my tweets and retweets and shit. And she goes, name one thing feminism was actually behind. And I quote, lips that touch liquor will never touch mine. Prohibition for one. She goes, because a woman doesn't want to kiss a man who drinks liquor? That was her reply. She thinks it's about what his breath tastes like. I said, no, it's because they try to... I said, no, it's because they try to shame all men into never drinking. Holy fuck, are you really this retarded? Are you this fucking stupid? I said, what feminist didn't want men drinking? I said, the ones that pushed for the 18th Amendment, you dumb fucking useless cunt. How fucking ignorant are you? And the 18th Amendment was pushed, she says, and the 18th Amendment was pushed by President Wilson, who is not a feminist. President Wilson wasn't the only one who pushed for prohibition. The whole lips that never touch liquor will never touch ours was the slogan that feminists came up with because it was feminists who originally had the idea, these rich, white, snobby fucking women who decided that alcohol was the cause of all problems and actually went with Christian fundamentalists to have the 18th Amendment prohibit all forms of alcohol. Right? So and then she goes, Francis Willard and Witten Meyer weren't feminists. They made it so because of their Christian beliefs, you idiot. How fucking retarded do you have to fucking be to think that those were the only 2 who pushed for prohibition? So far, according to this dumb bitch, only 3 people got an entire amendment and stopped all alcohol in the fucking United States. How fucking dumb are you? Those women blend Christianity, not feminism. So how is feminism related? Do you not know your own movement's fucking history? Are you this fucking stupid?
She probably doesn't know.
The Women's Christian Temperance Union. It wasn't feminist. I didn't say it was. She's bringing up this shit that I never fucking said.
You know
You
something
are a
else?
fucking liar and give false issues relevant to feminism. Get a life. Bitch, you
You
so
know,
fucking stupid. You don't know shit about your own fucking movement. No feminists were involved in the 18th Amendment. Would you like to do the research for me unvarnished?
sure. Let's find out.
Yeah, please. Because this bitch is beyond fucking stupid. So I'm going to go with the feminist logic here, and I'm not going to look it up because I'm a male, right? And apparently I'm just trying to oppress women, and I'm a liar, so nothing I say or bring up can be trusted. Unvarnished, on the other hand, is a female. And according to this dumb bitch's argument earlier, apparently if I ask a woman who disagrees with her, then I'm right. Although maybe she was arguing that her boyfriend is the only one who can agree or not. So I guess maybe you'd have to be my girlfriend, or it's not valid, whatever research you pull up. I'm not sure where her argument began and ended with that, because none of it made any fucking sense. But you want to know what else they were behind? So while Unvarnished is looking for that, I'm going to start talking about the other things feminists were behind. Right? The white feather / white flower in World War I. Feminists were handing these things out to shame men to do military service to protect them from an invading army. Yeah, this happened in America, and it happened in the UK. So there's another feminist movement where these bitches, who were never going to be in any fucking danger, wanted to put men in danger to protect them. How about that? Calling men cowards for not joining the military, risking their fucking lives and dying because, quote unquote, real men join the service.
Okay, here. Got it. Got it.
I'm going to stop screen sharing so that you can.
Okay, gotta remember which link this is. Where'd my link go? Oh, man.
It went to find Zelda.
I have too many of them.
Your link went to find Zelda.
Okay, I got it. So.
All right, not seeing
Screen
anything
share. Okay, can you see it?
Yep, I sure can.
See, where was I? Okay. The temperance movement would.
Hold on. What's the website? Is it credible?
This is the website.
Here. Okay. What's the title of the website? Because I can't see it.
Understanding the 18th Amendment. Right here. So, and it talks about.
Okay, hold on. Constitution.laws.com, American history. Right? So this looks like it's a credible source with backed up information. So we'll see that at the bottom of the article. So go ahead. So yeah, I can read it. So, if you make a full screen of the.
We're just going to need to read this part here.
Okay, that's great. Yeah.
The temperance movement would prove to become a powerful collection of individuals and factions that would garner a certain political power, which many politicians were afraid to confront. Church groups, the business elite, feminists, and political reformers were moving toward a dry society and began to call for a nationwide law banning alcoholic substances. There you go.
I'm sorry. Feminist wasn't part of this? Yeah, there you go. Okay, so unvarnished. If you make the screen full screen, you can actually see this stuff a lot easier.
I don't know how to do the full screen.
No. Okay, so go in the corner. Go in the corner of the whole window, right?
Oh.
And then make that be the. Yeah. That button, and then you can see.
That's just to restore it down.
Well, yeah, you have it. You have it fully. Yeah, you have it fully now, right? So if you do that, then it'll do the whole thing, and it makes it a lot easier. Okay. Although at least it does on a 42-inch screen. It makes it a lot easier to read.
There's a copyright here at the bottom of this website as well.
Yep, laws.com. So yeah, that looks like a credible website, right? This isn't just some blog.
It's got other related articles talking about the different amendments.
Okay, well, hold on. There is no The confidential attorney-client relationship formed by using laws.com. Website information provided on this site is not a legal advice. For legal advice, please contact attorney. Blah blah blah. This site is not referred to endorsed by this website by using laws. Okay, so scroll up a little. Scroll up. I want to see.
Like here.
Okay, so there's comments. Where does it cite any sources?
It does. It doesn't cite any sources here. It does have related articles.
Well,
you
related
can
articles
them.
doesn't do anything for me. I'm looking to see if it has.
About us, terms of use, privacy policy, advertising policy.
Hold on. Scroll up. Okay, so it doesn't. So this is just another article. This looks like a blog article, although it looks like it's a hell of a lot more reliable because looks like a much more official website, not just someone's personal, fucking thing. Does it say who it was written by? And save that link because I want to put that in the description later.
Sure. Give me a second. I'm not seeing if it doesn't have like a name of a person on it. It says.
It should have a writer.
Let me see what this is. It says subscribe to RSS feed, which takes me to like a link.
Okay, click on the link.
I did.
Oh, scholarly articles for feminism and prohibition.
Did you find that on here?
I just did a Google search.
Okay. So then you got more. I just found this one that looked pretty reputable. This was like the first one that I found. This is like the first thing that I clicked on.
Okay, so I can't believe the bitch is so fucking stupid to say feminism had nothing to do with prohibition. I mean, how fucking stupid do you have to be? How ignorant do you have to fucking be to actually think they didn't have it? I mean, that's what the whole fucking point of that slogan was. It wasn't, we don't like to we don't like to kiss people who are drunk. It says, any man who drinks liquor will never touch our lips, right? So it's another way of saying we're not going to have sex with you if you drink. It's another way of using sex to manipulate people. Oh, I guess they're not giving me enough to actually look that up. Okay.
I found another article called The Independent Institute that also mentions
the feminist history of prohibition. J-Story Daily. Susan B. Anthony. Okay, each December 5th, Americans celebrate the repeal of prohibition, which banned the manufacturing and sale of drinking alcohol in the America from 1920 to 1933. It's easy to think of the passing of the 18th Amendment as a paradigmatic example of reactionary forces demanding a moral. Oh.
Bless you.
Sorry, I had to take off my head thing. What'd you say?
I said excuse you.
Oh, okay. Example of reactionary force demanding moral obeisance. Obeisance. I don't know. How much a linear view of history of blah, blah, blah. Okay, indeed, many women's rights activists came to the movement through participation in the temperance crusade. Among them, Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Are you fucking kidding me? Right there, then. There's your fucking feminist history right there. And all it took was a 2-second fucking Google search of shit I already fucking knew. So there you go, you dumb bitch. You've been completely debunked. Your arguments are a fucking joke. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Every accusation you've made was complete horseshit.
Here, this site. This is another site that also talks about It's called the Independent Review Journal of Political Economy. There's a book title. It tells you the author. It tells you when it was published, the price for hardcover, softcover, and all that.
What is
and
this?
It even states, I'll go ahead and I'll link you. I'll just link it here. Boop. There's that one. Or in the group chat.
Yeah. Okay. Independent institution, the Independent Review, American Women and the Repeal of Prohibition. Okay, so you got like a whole book thing.
Yeah.
Here.
So it talks about how like the women's movement wanted it, and also in an ironic twist got rid of it at the same time.
Oh, see, if you hit Control F, this little bar comes up, and you can just type in whatever word, and it'll find it for you, whether if you're on a website or like a text document. So I just typed that in, and it took me all the way down. It says, his point about the enduring appeal of the 19th century home protection argument in the 1920s and beyond is credible and not often acknowledged by feminist scholars. Unfortunately, he muddies that point with the claim that women's historians have mostly ignored women who are not liberal or radical, a claim that is misleading on two counts. The women's history literature, especially in the 1970s and 1980s, teamed with studies of people in the group appeared conservative, including temperance advocates, there you go, but that scholars reclaim rightfully or wrongfully for feminism. Further, the historical meaning of left or right is hard to pin down. That's true, because at different points, what's considered left or right, has changed. Like, okay, when we say conservative in America, it's completely different than when they say conservative in the UK or in Canada, right? They're politically conservative is considerably different. Their most far right person is still very left of Obama. So, yeah, I think we've debunked this dumb bitch entirely at this point. I think we've more than beaten the dead horse.
Yeah. At this point, it would be like beating a dead horse.
No, I'm saying it's been a dead horse for like half an hour. At this point, we're beating off the dead horse. I don't know. So, I think we're going to end this show. And if anyone has any comments, concerns, opinions, feel free to put it in the comments section. If you'd like to contribute to me being able to make more videos like this of much higher quality, I have a Patreon account that also will be later in the description down below. All our links and websites that we looked at will be in the down below. Most of the references is on my Twitter, which is @Arn33333. If anyone would like to contact my guest today, she is Unvarnished Void at Twitter, which will also be in the down below. Is there anything I'm forgetting?
I make plushies.
Yeah, she makes plushies. So check out her, I guess, Etsy shop. I guess I'll shill out for that in the description down below too. Why not? She's been like an amazing amount of help today. I wouldn't have even made this video without her, because I wanted someone else to help, guide my thoughts and keep me on track, which Unvarnished does very well. I thank you very much for being on my show today, and I hope everyone enjoys themselves. And you have the last words.
And I thank you for having me again, as I do enjoy being on your shows. And goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.